I want to tell you about Marcus. He is 47 years old. He lives in Ohio. He has been invested since he was 27. 20 years. He never missed a contribution. Not once. Every single month, rain or shine, job change, divorce, medical bills. He kept investing every single month. And last Tuesday morning, he opened his investment account like he does every few months. He expected to feel proud. He expected to feel the reward of 20 years of discipline. The balance said $23,000. After 20 years, after never missing a single month, he sat completely still, coffee getting cold in front of him, and he thought, what did I do wrong? He did not pick bad funds. He did not time the market wrong. He did not make irresponsible decisions. He just never crossed the line that nobody ever told him existed. Compounding has a minimum, and most people are below it. Marcus was below it for 20 years, and nobody told him. If you have ever invested consistently and wondered why the magic never kicked in, this video is for you. Because today I'm going to tell you something that every personal finance channel skipped, on purpose or by accident. It does not matter. What matters is that you hear it today. There is a graph. You have seen it 100 times. Every personal finance channel shows it. A small amount of money, growing slowly at first, then bending upward, then rocketing. That beautiful sweeping curve, the one that turns small savings into mountains of wealth over 30 or 40 years. And every time you see it, the message is the same. Just start. Stay consistent. Let compounding do the work, and you believed it. Because why would they lie? The math looks real. The graph looks real. So you started, just like Marcus did. But nobody ever asked the obvious question. If compounding is this unstoppable force, why are most people who have been investing for years still broke? Not because they did not start, not because they were not patient, but because there is something about that graph that nobody explains. The curve does not bend for everyone. Compounding has a minimum, and most people are below it. You have probably heard the famous example. A penny doubled every day for 30 days. Turns into over $5 million. It is the go-to example. Every financial educator reaches for it when they want to explain compound growth. And it is technically correct, but it is also deeply misleading because it sneaks in an assumption that nobody questions. A 100% daily return, that is not a rate of return. That is a fantasy. In the real world, broad market index funds return roughly 7 to 10% annually. After inflation, you are looking at maybe 6 or 7%. That is not a penny doubling every day. That is a penny growing by a fraction of a cent. And here is the thing. At low dollar amounts, that fraction of a fraction is functionally invisible. If you invest $100 and earn 8% in a great year, you made $8. That is not life-changing. That is not even lunch-changing. But we keep telling people, it does not matter how much you start with. Just start. And while that is well-intentioned, it papers over a critical truth. Compounding only feels like compounding after you cross a certain threshold. Below it, you are just saving. Slowly, linearly, almost painfully. The curve is flat. The graph is boring. And for most people, That is where they live their entire financial lives, on the flat part of the curve, wondering why the magic never kicked in. And the cruelest part, they blame themselves. They think they picked the wrong fund, or started too late, or are not savvy enough. But the fund was fine. The timing was fine. The problem was never strategy. The problem was scale. Charlie Munger once said, "The first $100,000 is the hardest," and he did not mean it emotionally, although it is. He meant it mathematically. Below $100,000. You are the engine, your savings rate, your income, your hustle. That is what moves the needle. The market is barely a supporting actor. Above $100,000, something shifts. The money starts doing a meaningful share of the work. You wake up some mornings, and your portfolio gained more overnight than you earned at your job that day. That is the threshold. That is when compounding goes from a textbook idea to something you can feel in your actual life. And the uncomfortable truth is that most people, not because they are lazy, not because they are irresponsible, most people never reach it. According to the Federal Reserve, the median retirement savings for an American household between 55 and 64 years old is around $185,000. That means half of all households approaching retirement have less than that. And many of them only recently crossed the 100,000 mark. If they crossed it at all, they spent decades investing, but spent most of that time on the flat part of the curve. By the time the math starts to get interesting, they are already withdrawing. And this is where the conversation gets honest, because the standard financial advice, cut the lattes, cancel the subscriptions, automate your savings, it operates on the assumption that the gap between where you are and where compounding kicks in is closable through frugality. For some people it is. For a lot of people it is not. If you earn $35,000 a year and your rent is $1,200 a month, you do not have a spending problem. You have an income problem. You can optimize your grocery budget down to the cent and still not have enough margin. To build the kind of base that compounding requires, it is like telling someone to enjoy the view from the summit without mentioning the vertical cliff face they have to scale first. The first 100,000 is not a milestone you cruise past. It is a wall, and for people with student debt, or medical bills, or kids, or the simple reality of living in an expensive world on a modest income, it can feel permanent. There is also a psychological cost that does not get enough attention. When you invest $200 a month for 2 years, and your balance is $5,100, and $4,800 of that is just money you deposited, the growth feels almost insulting. $300 it gains in 2 years. Meanwhile, your social media feed is full of people talking about how compounding built their wealth. It makes you feel like you are doing something wrong. You are not. The math just is not in your favor yet. Now, I am not saying this to be discouraging. I am saying it because pretending the wall does not exist is worse. Every financial influencer showing you the compound interest chart, starting at year 1 and ending at year 30, is showing you the destination. They are not showing you the 10 years of barely visible progress. that make most people quit. And quitting, or never starting, is the real cost of the compounding minimum. Not that people cannot do math, but that the math done honestly can be demoralizing. And that brings me back to Marcus, sitting at his kitchen table, staring at $23,000. After 20 years, he did not fail. The system failed to explain itself to him. Nobody told him about the wall. Nobody told him about the threshold. Nobody told him that for the first 15 years. He would mostly just be saving, not compounding, just saving. And if someone had told him that early, he might have made different decisions, bigger decisions, income decisions, decisions that got him to the threshold faster. Now, before I get into the solution, I want to take 1 second. If you are watching this far in, you are clearly the kind of person who thinks deeper about money than most people do. That matters. And if you want more videos that go beyond the surface level advice, videos that tell you the things the gurus skip, take 1 second and hit subscribe. Most of our viewers are not subscribed yet, and it genuinely helps us keep making content like this for people like you who deserve the full picture, not just the highlight reel. All right, let us talk about the solution. If the first $100,000 is the wall, how do you get over it? The answer is not sexy, but it is real, and it has 3 parts. Part 1. Income is the lever, not budgeting. Below the compounding threshold, every extra dollar you earn matters more than every dollar you save. This is not about hustle culture or grinding yourself into the ground. It is about recognizing where the highest impact effort goes. A raise, a side project that generates income, a skill that makes you more valuable in the market. These do more for your financial trajectory than switching to a cheaper phone plan. You cannot optimize your way across a gap that wide. You have to earn your way across it. Part 2. Protect the base at all costs. The biggest enemy of early-stage wealth is not a bad stock pick. It is the emergency that empties your account. The car that breaks down, the medical bill, the job loss. This is why an emergency fund is not just good advice. It is load-bearing infrastructure. It protects the base you are building, so that compounding has something to work with. When you finally cross that line, every time you drain your savings to zero and start over, you reset the clock on compounding, and each reset costs you years, not months, years. Part 3. Do not measure your progress by the compound interest chart. Those charts are designed to sell you on the destination. They show you the hockey stick. They do not show you the long, flat handle you have to hold on to for years. Instead, track your savings rate. Track your net worth in absolute terms. Celebrate the milestones. $1,000, $5,000, $10,000, $25,000. Not because compounding is doing much at those levels, but because every dollar you stack is closing the distance to the threshold where it will. Think of it this way. You are building a runway. The plane does not take off at the beginning of the runway. It takes off at the end. But every foot of pavement you lay down matters. Because without the full runway, the plane never leaves the ground. The compounding minimum is real. And knowing it exists is not pessimism. It is the most useful piece of financial information most people never hear. Because once you know the wall is there, you can stop wondering why the magic has not started and start building the ladder to get over it. And Marcus, he called me after he watched a video like this one. Not this one. A video that finally told him the truth. He said, "I wish someone had told me this 20 years ago." I asked him, "What would you have done differently?" He was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "I would have focused on income first, not just saving. I would have protected my savings like my life depended on it. And I would have stopped measuring myself against that chart." He paused again. Then he said, "I spent 20 years thinking I was failing. I was not failing. I just did not know about the wall." Do not be Marcus at 47. Be the person who heard this at 30 or 25 or whenever you are watching this right now. Because the wall is real, but so is the ladder. And now you know both exist. If this changed how you think about compounding or money in general, subscribe to this channel. We break down the ideas that personal finance gurus oversimplify, so you can make smarter decisions with the full picture, not just the highlight reel. Hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and drop a comment below. Tell me where you are right now. Are you on the flat part of the curve, or have you crossed the threshold? I genuinely read every single one. I will see you in the next one.